Happy Friday, everybody! It's time for some androids and aliens. But before we get to the show, I have a question for you all. Are there any music that you liked as a teen that you don't like anymore? Let's start with Grant Berger. Grant, some music you cared about a lot when you were a budding 13-year-old on the mean streets of Texas. You probably already had your first gun. What did you listen to that you don't listen to anymore?
Well, on my way to the ammunition store, I would listen to the Dave Matthews Band endlessly. Dave Matthews Band, Tool. Tool's still pretty cool. Some of it, anyway. Yeah, Dave Matthews Band all the time. I would sing all the songs. I'd write the lyrics out. I had posters in my room. I went to a concert. I went to several concerts. I was a DMB head, and now I hate it.
Hate it.
Hate is a strong word.
It's not great music.
There are a couple songs that I still will hear and I'll remember. Crash Into Me is still pretty good, I gotta say. But yeah, it's weird. He really has a strange singing voice now that I look back on it. It's very all over the place. And I had someone who was a classical singer once be like, that man cannot sing in tune. And I was like, oh.
Sure, but you don't have to be able to sing in tune to be a rock star.
No, Bob Dylan's an excellent, there's a line from David Berman from the Silver Jews, all his favorite singers couldn't sing. I get it, but he's trying hard.
I saw Bob Dylan live.
I think Dave Matthews is definitely trying hard, Grant.
That's what I just said. That's what I just said, Matthew.
Oh, I thought you meant Bob Dylan.
No,
I
just said that, Matthew.
I saw Bob Dylan live, and he was sick that night. That was the only time I ever saw him. It's a sick Bob Dylan. And I was like, I don't understand any of this. I don't know what's going on. But Joe, I saw you get very defensive as Grant started talking smack about Dave Matthews, because I assume you're still a fan of this now defunct band.
Defunct? They've only gotten better. They've only gotten. I actually went. Our agent Kevin is a huge Dave Matthews fan. And
is he really?
Yeah, our company.
Fish, Dave Matthews.
Yeah, our company reps Dave Matthews. And so we went to a concert together one time, and I hadn't been to a Dave Matthews concert since I was in college, which is when Grant was a teen. And, so we were listening at the same time, but I hadn't gone in years. And I went and I was like, this is still pretty damn good. I think you just hadn't seen them live in a while, Berger. Anyway, they put on a good show. For me, I can't think of anything. There's nothing that I liked when I was a teen that I think is shitty now in terms of music.
Because your taste has never changed in anything.
No, my taste always changes and always sort of accepts the old and the new. I get nostalgic, all that music. Are you kidding me? There are times, I think there were times in the early 2000s when I thought that 80s music was overall better music than 90s music. But now I don't think that anymore. Now I think they're all good. They all had their own thing and they were all good for their own reasons.
No.
Not everything can be good, Joe.
Nothing is better than the 1980s for music.
It's ridiculous. The 70s are better?
Nope.
60s might even be better?
Nope.
Oh, God.
It begins and ends. It begins and ends with Hall & Oates.
Hall & Oates began in the 70s.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I will say this. About Hall & Oates. I never listened to any Hall & Oates, really, right? Of course I did, but I didn't know they were Hall & Oates. And so one night, Troy was going to a concert with our friend Kevin and other people. It was 8 people going to this concert that I wasn't going to at the Garden. And they were all grabbing a drink beforehand. It was a little happy hour. And I went from work, met all of them, and then they were all going off to this concert. And I remember being a couple brewskis in, and Troy's like, do you have any idea how many hits these guys have? And I'm like, no, man, no, I'm really not interested in your band. And then he started listing them off. And I'm like, happy hour, buzzed. And I'm like, that's them? Wait, that's them too? That's them too? And then before I knew it, I was like, holy shit, Hall & Oates is the greatest band of all time. LaValle has that sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves thing when he gets all fired up about something he likes.
Yeah, by the end of the conversation, you're like, any chance I could get an extra ticket to that Hall & Oates show?
Are you going to be scalping outside the garden? I'll pay $250 for one of them jaws.
Matthew, I imagine you have some shameful music tastes that, we're not going to judge you here. We just let it out. This is a safe space.
No, I'm glad you asked this question, Troy. I really appreciate the time and the space to talk about it because it's very painful for me.
That's important.
See, when I was in high school, we didn't have, Apple Music or Spotify. You had to go purchase your music in CD format. And the CD I owned of the musical Into the Woods was a 2002 Broadway revival, which was all I knew.
That was a double CD, wasn't it? Or was that the original?
No, that was just a single. The original was a double CD, and the original is obviously far superior. No offense to the actors in the revival, they're all great. But I just knew there was a world out there, and I could have had the 1987 original Broadway cast recording at my disposal, and yet I was living in total ignorance.
How embarrassing for you.
I just want you to know it's very brave for you to bring that up. And,
I appreciate you saying that.
I hope that you're going to get past it. Sydney, I can't even imagine what was the music of your teens. Was it someone with a $sign in their name?
God, he's so old.
That is such a dad joke. That is so funny that you fucking said that.
It was good.
It was really good. It's funny. I was just having this conversation with a friend talking about truly how bad the music was in that preteen era, 13 years old. Because a lot of the musicians I listened, and I was across the spectrum. I listened to stuff my parents listened to. I liked Hall & Oates. I listened to Sublime. My dad really liked Sublime. So I had a very weird, broad music taste. But the bands that people were into were Warped Tour bands. Are you familiar with Warped Tour?
I've been to a Warped Tour.
It's bad. So recently I went on a little deep dive with my friend through Spotify, and we're like, what do these bands sound like? So I think the first concert I ever went to was All Time Low and Mayday Parade. Some people listening might have some idea what I'm fucking talking about. But that led us on a bigger escapade where we listened to Cute Is What We Aim For, Taking Back Sunday. And we just went down this rabbit hole of male fronted Warped Tour bands. And we were like, these lyrics are so insane. I cannot believe I was 13 and I was singing this and my parents were like, sounds good. Sounds positive for women and for life.
Is this emo? Would this be considered emo?
Yeah, this would be considered emo. But I also listened to a little bit of Scream, a little Pierce the Veil. But I also listened to Kanye West when I was 13. I loved Kanye West, so I don't regret that. I regret Kanye now. I don't regret Kanye then. But yeah, music. I think I'm kind of like Joe though. I take it for what it is. I'm like, you know what? I was into it then. What a funny time to be alive. I have different tastes now. I'm sure I'll hate it when I'm 30. But
that's the thing. Fine. The more I think about it, the more it doesn't make sense what you're saying, Troy. You're the one whose taste never changed because you only like Hall & Oates. You haven't liked any music.
He likes
since
Counting Crows
1994.
also.
I love Counting Crows. I've always loved Counting Crows.
Yes,
but my love of Counting Crows was renewed when I met my wife. But I never liked country growing up, and now it is the only music I listen to besides what happens between November 1st and December 26th, which is only Christmas music. But yeah, I hated country growing up. But now I even listen to classical in the morning. Sometimes I'll sit to Archer Down, make him some eggs, and we listen to some Chopin.
Bach.
An etude or two?
An etude or two, just to mix it up from the Wiggles.
Have you gotten familiar enough to be able to call out compositions by name? Or do you just name a composer and say, I like this general oeuvre of this work?
Well, I started out by just saying, Alexa, play some classical music. I hope she doesn't hear me. I don't want to get too much of a tangent.
Those conversations.
I don't want to get in too much of a tangent, but I get so mad at her sometimes, and I'm like, I don't talk to anybody like I talk to Alexa. And if anyone ever heard me driving by, is he talking to his wife like that? I'll be like, Alexa, stop. I'm like, did you hear me the first time? I said stop. Because she would do. Alexa, stop.
You know who hears how you talk to Alexa? Alexa. And she records all of it. And then sends it to the authorities.
So to the government.
Yeah, exactly. You expect to hear from them.
Yeah, no, my tastes have changed, but I'm sure I have some that I'm ashamed of. But I want to hear from Skid. Skid, teenage Skid. What did you listen to that you just now you're like, what was I thinking?
I think the stuff I enjoy now is only stuff that I listened to when I was a teenager. Because it was all Metallica, Public Enemy, and NWA. Which is all I listen to now.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Somebody said, I can't remember who it was. I can't remember, but it was just that music that's why it is so intense. It's so intense in your teenage years because so many things are happening to you developmentally at that time and mentally that the music you listen to at that time usually reverberates and rings through with you your entire life for good reason. Because like, even though there are songs that I really liked in the post emo-ish, like mid-aughts to late aughts, like indie music. There's a lot of stuff I really liked, but nothing that like I feel impacted me the way that music did when I was a teenager. You know, all those songs bring up so many memories and so many feelings, so many thoughts. And that's it's got to be that way for everybody as they go through. I mean, the way that my dad talks about music from the 60s, especially the late 60s into the early 70s, when he's like going to Vietnam and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like all those, that music has stayed with him his whole life. And he's so into it, you know? And
There's this alchemy going on with your hormones that mixes with the music you're hearing that just creates this effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ellie, what about you? ABBA, Ace of Base? What was the big ones for your teenage years?
You're barfing ABBA?
Well, I mean, it's not like it's not something I listen to, and it's also not. Anyway,
Avicii?
Avicii. Oh, I did like that, but that was later. That was college years. You would listen to Avicii before you got drunk and hit the bar.
What was 13-year-old Ellie bopping out to?
Well, the sad thing is that it was I was just around the age around Spice Girls. So that was
awesome. Spice Girls are awesome.
There's nothing sad about
need
that
to be
at
ashamed
all.
of that.
And also Britney Spears came and Christina Aguilera, like the early sort of that movement. I went to see Christina Aguilera live and Spice Girls live.
Wow.
And I thought that was cool. But then I got into music school, a pretty prestigious music school for piano players, and I had to stop listening to this. So I'm actually playing Chopin, Troy.
Wow.
You don't
And
listen to
with my
Chopin. You just play it poorly.
No, I play it really well. I'm a pretty good classical piano player.
Pianist.
Or I used to be. I haven't had a piano since I moved here, but I have tiny hands. And I don't know if you know this about Chopin, but he had like very long hands.
I didn't know that. Long hands.
Long hands.
That was his nickname.
Oh, Longhand Chopin, they call it.
Look at the long in the hand, Chopin.
But he could take an octave and a C and a G, whereas I can barely reach an octave. So
Well, the way he wrote music was difficult for some people to play without that reach, right?
exactly. So that's why he created that flow of you breaking them up, whereas he probably could just slam his hand down, which I find kind of sexy now when I talk about it. Yeah.
He was the Randy Johnson of Polish pianists.
He's now a famous sports photographer.
Is he really?
Did you ever see the video of Randy Johnson killing a pigeon? Look it up.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
There was somebody submitted a crit to us that was that.
Oh, yeah.
That's
That's right.
titled Randy Johnson's Pigeon.
He's just throwing 102 mile an hour fastball, and God is like, watch this. This is going to be funny. And that fucking bird just happened to be there, and it, boom, the bird explodes.
Yeah.
Before we get to my teenage shame, we really want to hear from a man who I think grew up in the town that Flashdance. What was not Flashdance? What was the movie where music was banned?
Footloose?
Was it Footloose? Footloose was. It's David Winters, everybody. David Winters.
Hello.
Fuck that up. I had Footloose on the tongue, and then at the last minute, I was like, no, maybe it's Flashdance. It's not Flashdance.
Doesn't Flashdance take place in Pittsburgh?
No, Flash Dancers is a strip club in Manhattan, I believe, but that's neither here nor there. Well, no, so Troy, you mentioned the country thing, and I'm kind of sad you did because my music thing was actually the opposite direction, where I grew up in a small, single blinking red light town in Michigan and listened to a bunch of country. And then once I finally kind of got out and made it to the coast, suddenly it was like, why was I listening to that? So I like everything but country. It doesn't matter what, like hip hop, classical music, 80s, love Hall & Oates, but country, like it's triggering.
Wow. And you know, it's not like you're a young guy. It's not like you were listening to the Oak Ridge Boys. You're probably listening to like Garth Brooks.
I saw the Oak Ridge Boys in concert actually, but that's neither here nor there.
No, that's here and there.
Yeah.
Wait, Troy, when you say country, do you mean like Red Dead Redemption country, like that cool country, or do you mean like the line dance bullshit?
No. That line dance stuff was like Billy Ray Cyrus, 1992, Achy Breaky Heart. The country isn't like that anymore. That's not to say there aren't line dancing country songs, but there's just as many line dancing hip hop songs. When I say country, I'm talking about modern country, which is very poppy. And that's all I listen to.
But back then it was like Garth Brooks and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
what was his alter ego? Chris Lane? No.
Chris Gaines.
Chris Gaines.
Yeah. And he dressed just like you do tonight, Grant.
He did. He had his hair kind of like down in the right
Chris
way.
Gaines over there? Is that Chris Gaines?
He had that like tiny little, he grew like a tiny little chin
Soul
goatee.
patch.
Flavor saver.
I could be misremembering this, but I think he hosted SNL once. But Garth Brooks hosted SNL, but Chris Gaines was the musical guest. It's so ridiculous, but that was a good SNL that had Old French Whore.
That was yeah. I think mine's dead.
I think my whore is dead. Sherry O'Terry played an old French whore. Anyways, I think I've talked about this on shows before. I had Columbia House, and where you would send in a nickel, and then they would just ruin your credit when you never paid for the rest of the CDs. So I would just get a bunch of garbage, and then I worked this like door-to-door sales job as a teenager. That was like I was delivering newspapers, but then there was a way you could make a little extra money where you just drove around with this pedophile and went door to door and tried to get people to like buy subscriptions to the newspaper. So I did that, and you could either get paid $5 in cash for a subscription or a $10 Strawberries gift card. And Strawberries was like the Sam Goody at the time. You might not know what Sam Goody is, but it was like a place where you got CDs. But anyway, so I was like, well, give me $10 worth of CDs. I don't want $5. So I
can see Sydney just glazing over as you're telling this story.
I'm catching you lost me at straw. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like
Strawberries.
Goodies, like,
It's great. The strawberries and plastic
Frozen
place. Like, what is it?
strawberries. And so I just had a ton of garbage CDs. Like, remember Snow in Forma?
Love that song.
While I'm not ashamed of this, I was really big into Bryan Adams, and the song from the Robin Hood soundtrack.
Everything I do, I do for you.
I listened to that song religiously every night before I went to bed.
I was into it too. I was very into it, but I also was like 6 years old.
You always play Phil Collins, or always, but you very often play Phil Collins, the "Take a Look at Me Now" song.
Any Phil Collins. I still have the.
Phil Collins is amazing. Like he is. I think he. If anyone said that, then they would win the game.
You know who hates Bryan Adams? BTW. Matthew. Because he's Canadian.
Oh, sure. Matthew
hates Bryan Adams.
Bryan Adams, he's a Canadian treasure.
I ride the Pelotons with Bryan Adams all the time.
With a scowl on your face.
Oh, that reminds me. There was music back in the day that I was like, this is amazing. Then there was that middle area where I was like, that was so lame. And then I did a Peloton ride the other day featuring a whole bunch of Madonna's Immaculate Collection. Ooh. And I was like, this shit still rules. I was wrong in that middle area.
Now,
this shit was amazing.
You went to Catholic school too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I went to Catholic school. I'm not Catholic, Protestant, but I went to Catholic school for 16 years. And I remember either 7th or 8th grade, we all were handed a form that we had to bring home to our parents. It was like, do not let your children purchase or listen to this Madonna album.
Was that the one with Like a Prayer on it?
Yeah, with Like a Prayer. And it's like, and it describes the video. It was like, there's a video where she is like making out with Jesus on the cross, and it's a black Jesus, no less. We don't like that. Anyways, you should
wait. So your parents had to sign the form and you had to return it, or was it just like a flash?
I remember my mom being like, this is stupid. I'm not signing this. But yeah, I think the intention was they wanted you to sign it and send it back. Anyways.
Wow.
Times have not changed at all. Let's play some Starfinder. Last week, you guys kept the fun train rolling. Could have been a difficult combat, but you really worked well together. It only took 5 books and the addition of 2 more new characters. But you really worked well together in a situation that could have been very hairy, especially for Linnea, and then eventually for Qualo as well, who went down and out for the count, had to burn an RP to stabilize. You then heal up and you say, there's a little bit back and forth between Dax and Kreska. Kreska's having a little trouble controlling her crew, I think. It's just outsider's opinion. Dax wanted to push forward. Kreska wanted to wait. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Finally, you decide, you know what, let's clear it. Let's clear it, and we'll just make sure that we're very careful with especially Linnea. So Dax leads the charge, and you decide to go to the door to the northwest. You open said door. Let's go to the map. There's a partition there, and it looks like the partition opens up to the east. There's some stairs leading up. Dax goes up the stairs. There's another door to the right. It looks like it must be some sort of small space between this room and the room that you were just in, where you found those dimensional comm units and those cool Kishali batteries. But you are interested in this room. Let's take a gentleman's peek at this room here. Ooh. Big ass room.
Whoa.
Big ass room. You guys say room or room?
We say room because we're not from Massachusetts. You say room because you are.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no. Guys, don't do this to me. What's the right thing?
How do you
think, Ellie?
How do you say it, Ellie?
Room.
That's correct. Room. That's correct.
You sound just like Troy in the 3rd episode of Glass Cannon. Yeah. It's the exact same moment.
In the room.
I still say rum.
Rum. As in the
like,
drink?
yeah, like rum and Coke. You should hear my parents, and worse yet, my cousins. It sounds like they're
Wait, but Troy, you were South Shore, right?
North Shore, dude.
Oh, you were North Kid. All right.
North Shore. South Shore is basically Rhode Island.
I'm not going to say anything because I'm not from Massachusetts, but I lived in the North Shore, and I'm on your side.
Where were you on the North Shore?
Salem.
Get out of here.
Yeah, were you in Beverly? Where were you?
Witch.
Or were you Danvers?
I went to high school in Danvers, but I grew up in Haverhill.
Haverhill. Oh, my friend's in Haverhill. No, wait, Haverhill. Yeah, Haverhill.
Guys, take off. Sydney and I are going to hang out for a little bit.
We gotta chat about some stuff.
What was
Did
your
you ever
donkeys?
I could go for a donkeys right now.
Ooh.
But let's
And they
dunk.
put the plastic cup in the styrofoam cup. Anyway, sorry.
I know that was a big thing, and they outlawed that recently. Let's talk about this room. You want a little flav text? I said to you last week. I said to you last week when you opened the door, it's just like a blue light. That was it, a blue haze throughout the room. And as you turn, that continues throughout. It's just this eerie blue light. And I think I said to you earlier, after you defeated those initial cultists that were harassing the space dog, it was like a green light throughout. This room has a totally different hue to it. So it's just eerie to kind of get you in the zone. And as you turn the corner, you see that this blue is coming from a single monitor across from the southern door. There are a bunch of other computer consoles in the room, but they're all dark right now. And then standing in the center is a circular platform of some unknown technology, just affixed to the center of the room on the floor. You've seen this now in a couple other rooms, so it's not completely foreign, but again, the technology is beyond your comprehension. And you look, there's actually windows that look outside to the west that's just completely obscured by the thick jungle foliage that has overgrown this station for hundreds of years, since there were people working here, you would think. What do you do?
First thing I'm going to do is check over here for a secret door. There's something blocking the way here. It makes no sense whatsoever. It just ruins the map. So I'm just going to clear that up real fast.
Okay, you look and it just shows you more of the map.
Oh, perfect. Oh, look at that gorgeous map that artist did. Wonderful.
Troy is so mad.
I don't I don't see any of this until you point it out. Because I don't have the opacity set to that.
I'm going to slowly walk around the room, gun out, and just look at Dr. Friss and just sort of give him a nod, like, look into the computers as you want. I'll cover you. And he doesn't even care if Friss sets off a trap or anything. He's going to stay in here in case something really attacks Friss.
Okay. Dr. Friss, you're the next one in the room. What do you do?
Friss cautiously makes his way over to this central device, whatever it is, and try an engineering check to see if I can activate it.
Yeah, you look at it and you're like, there's nothing really here that can control it. Maybe the one active computer is the only way. There are no buttons that could turn this on, but the one active computer you think is probably hooked up to it.
All right, I'm going to head over then to that computer. It's over on the north wall, is that
Yeah.
what it is? Okay. So I'm first going to do a perception check to see if it's trapped.
Okay.
That is a 31.
Looks okay.
Okay. I am going to do a computers check to see if I can get into it.
Okay. Computer check.
Ooh, a natty 19. That is a 39.
Okay, you access it with ease. It looks like there was a countermeasure in place that has recently been disabled, an alarm system that would have gone off. You now have the ability to power up the lights and the other computers in this room. You can see that you have those functions in front of you, but as you're standing there at the console, the platform near the center of the room just flickers to life as a luminescent holographic projection manifests above it. Let me show you what that looks like. You guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Awesome.
Nice epaulets.
Yes. Very fancy. Looks like an older Kishali.
This light just within seconds coalesces into this tall, regal, humanoid form that resembles the images of the ancient Kishali that you saw on Istamak, also resembles the other Kishali hologram that you spoke to and defeated earlier. This figure is dressed in garb that appears to be a mixture of military and scientific outfits that seem to... the whole figure just seems to disappear into the glow of the circular dais at the figure's feet, but it's still like 13, 14 feet tall. And just as it gets down to the bottom, the glow from the sphere there, just, you don't really know where it begins and ends. It's kind of cool. It stretches out an arm to you, and you realize this is the same figure you saw in the room before that told you to come here. It stretches out an arm and speaks to you, Dr. Friss, and says,
Do your friends speak my tongue?
And he answers in ancient Kishaline. He says, no, but I can't translate for them.
Yes, but we must save as much time as we can. Perhaps I can help if you would tell them to not be afraid when I scan their minds.
Can I do a sense of motive?
sure.
22.
22. She seems like she's on the up and up. Obviously, you're a little weary after running into the one before that trapped you, but you feel like she's sincere.
I turn to the rest of them and I say, wants to scan our brains so we can communicate better. I think she's on the up and up.
Sounds good.
Dax will submit
So
to a
Kreska.
scanning.
Tell them to enter the room and close the door behind you.
Close the door, Bassa.
Oh no, when people say that to me, then it's trouble.
Captain, perhaps Linnea should wait outside.
I think she should hear this if she wants to.
Aye, Captain.
How about, is Matthew, you and I are connected, Kreska, you and I are connected. Can I, feel it through you?
No, I can. It's just. Let's see.
Okay,
Can I
cool.
do something that can connect us?
I remember.
Not in the way this would be helpful.
Well, fuck it. I'm just gonna go ahead and say yes. Live a little.
You instantly die.
But Troy.
No, but in all honesty, suddenly all of you start to feel a slight tingling behind your eyes. And then after a moment, an audio filter kicks into the room. And as she speaks, you all understand it as if it was common.
Cool.
She says,
My name is Osteth. I was once one of the many Kishali scientists who monitored the entire system here, protecting its secret. Long ago, I had a physical form, but in order to maintain these computers past our civilization's fall, another engineer and I created digital versions of our consciousnesses to serve as custodians for eternity. His name was Eltreth, and we have operated here for millennia, keeping this place functional and its terrible secret hidden. That was until a couple centuries ago. Without warning, my partner, Eltreth, began to display signs of instability and critical errors. He became convinced that he was the tool of some being known as the Devourer. I believed it to be just some manifestation of degradation in his core programming, so I sequestered him here to these servers before he could cause any damage. I had hoped in time that he could be repaired, that I could repair him, but recent events have changed my mind. Several days ago, we were invaded by a group of raiders. Some of them looked much like yourselves, but others were like figments, strange, dark apparitions with no true form. These raiders called themselves the Desperate Hunger, and are led by an android woman named Null 9. I discovered this as they blasted their way into the facility, spouting paeans to this devourer, and caught me off guard. Before I knew it, they had freed Eltreth and forced me into his prison. Luckily, I was able to put some roadblocks in their path to slow them down. But they cannot be allowed to access this stellar degenerator. Thankfully, you have recontained Eltreth and freed me. But my powers here are limited, and time is of the essence. God bless you.
So polite.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Can I do a mysticism check? I want to know if the earliest appearance of this cult of the Devourer coincides with this moment a couple centuries ago. Did the Devourer originate here, or did it originate somewhere else and infiltrated this programming?
Yeah, roll a mysticism.
27.
Ooh. The Devourer, as far as you know, predates all of this. It may have been known by other names, but like this type of worship of an all-destructing force has been around for a long time.
I wonder if this is whatever the devourer is an entity that invaded and corrupted Eldrith, or if this is an identity that was adopted by this person after they became corrupted, or what? I don't know.
Yeah, like you've heard of people being corrupted. You've now met cultists and heard their story. You think about that. Remember the bug person who was the sniper? Mm-hmm. Didn't you learn about her story of how she became corrupted? You now know a little bit about Mei Shun's situation with her mother. Yeah. But the idea of a digital consciousness being corrupted would have to give you pause, because it really feels like this devourer is something beyond space and time.
Frisk is going to ask, pardon me, but would you have any concept or idea about how your colleague got changed in this way? Do you have any theory about that?
No. I have thought on this for a long time, and now recently confronted with other worshippers of this being, it has changed what little conclusions I came to. As I said, I assumed at first it was nothing but a programming malfunction, but now to see that there are humans who are as devout as Eldrith was when he started to fade. I do not know, but knowing what we were sworn to protect, and considering that they may be after it, makes me quite fearful for the future, or lack thereof.
Can I go through the files? Can Frisk just take a quick look over like some kind of log or something to get an idea of a timeline? Or
Yeah, roll another computer's check.
31.
31. All right, so if you start to dig deeper into like the more secure data modules on the computer, you see detailed reports about Eldrith and Ostreth's experiments on creating artificial consciousness. You see in their reports, like when they were in humanoid form, their considerations and everything they went through both scientifically and emotionally to make the decision to do this. The biggest thing you gain from it is you think with your mind you could actually replicate the experiment if need be and create a digital consciousness.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Maybe we should make copies just in case.
Yeah, Frisk kind of like slowly turns and looks over his shoulder at the rest. It's like, does anyone want to live forever?
You would also know, though, in reading the reports, that it would mean the sacrifice of your physical form.
Oh, okay.
Pass.
Yeah.
Frisk is
Frisk is tempted. Frisk is going to download all this information onto his computer. He's going to work on this.
Yeah. I mean, hell, I would.
It's advanced. We've never seen any sort of technology like this back on the Pact Worlds.
The San Junipero of the Pact Worlds.
Yeah.
Reference.
Baby, do you know what that was?
Great app.
Is that Black Mirror?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the bummer about
good.
that app is like I walked away with that with my theory of how I thought the ending was, and then I read like the writer was like, no, here's what the ending is. Like, why would you do that? Why would you tell me what the ending is? Just let everybody have their theories on it. Anyways, great episode.
Callum walks up towards the hologram figure.
Hello, little boy. Hello, little boy.
Oh, he turns around. Dex, don't do that.
Did you
That's
lose your
rude.
mommy?
What? I'm gonna kick you in the shins.
I am a hologram.
No, Callum says, so let me get this straight. You're dead, but you're in the computers now, so as long as the computers are working, you can do stuff.
Correct. And to be honest, my digital consciousness transcends even this computer system. However, they did imprison me, and I fear it is something that could happen again. In fact, I am trying to access the room to the northeast, and someone is overriding the programming there, or perhaps something, whereas every other room I now have access to. These cultists are not only ferocious, but they are canny.
If we try to get rid of your friend, well, your ex-friend, does that mean that we get rid of you too?
No, I will stay on. However, this is all very new. I could trap him and maintain the balance needed. But I believe now, seeing what has happened when he was freed and fearing that this could happen again, I may need to erase him for good.
Oh,
And that could be complicated with regards to the initial ritual.
who would you talk to? You would be alone.
I do not seek companionship. It is not a personal thing so much as it is a matter of safety.
Oh,
When Eltreth and I conducted the ritual to convert our consciousnesses into artificial intelligence, we together created many failsafes to ensure that should one of our programming ever be corrupted, one could not act without the other, like two keys needing to be turned at the exact same time. These cultists were attempting to capitalize on Eltreth's conversion by destroying me and reprogramming him to not need such failsafes. I fear that his imprisonment, though necessary, would just make my job here difficult in ways I cannot predict, so he must be erased. But it would also erase the security measures that we put in place. There is much I must think on, but there are other problems.
Such as?
I'll tell you, you son of a bitch.
Oh no, she's corrupted. I shoot her.
Start shooting
We all
at the
just shoot the
hologram.
screen.
Bolts are
what are you doing?
ricocheting throughout the room.
I feel like she looks like Santa Claus in a way.
Huh?
Very much so.
Like in a kind. She looked kind.
My
kind,
first
like,
thought.
I mean, like I kind of wanna. I want Linnea to ask for a gift.
Kind
Blue
eyes.
fanged creature.
I guess I should ask
Pictures.
first.
Bald. Blue fanged
What does Santa Claus
military
look
garb.
like?
That's Santa.
Yep.
Santa, all right.
Military garb.
I bet a lot of people will be like, you know what, Ellie? I see it too. Okay.
Yep.
There
alright.
he is. Ho, ho, ho.
No ears, just no ears, just like Santa.
Looks like Captain Crunch.
That's Captain Crunch when he takes the hat off. You have no idea what's under
That's
there.
yeah, actually yeah, without the hat and the mustache
Yeah.
and the beard.
True.
Yeah, hat, mustache, beard. If he had any hair, if Santa looked exactly like Predator, like all those
Yeah,
things.
it might look like Santa on the Predator homeworld. It could look exactly
All
like
I'm,
that.
all I'm saying,
Chris Kringle on the Predator homeworld.
all I'm saying, it looks like an older gentleman that I would like to ask for gifts.
I am a woman.
and she electrocutes you.
So it's Santa Mom. What's the female Santa?
Santa Mom.
Mrs. Claus.
Mrs. Claus. Mrs. Claus.
Santa Mom.
No, it's Santa Mom.
Another episode title.
Santa Mom.
Don't stop her, my Santa Mom will shoot. That's the episode title.
Throw Santa Mom from the train. What did you ask? You asked Kreska what problems?
Yeah, she said we have bigger problems, and I asked for concrete examples.
She
Troy was.
she looks down and considers this question. We'll find out her answer right after this break.
Oh shit! Oh,
Reasonable.
Welcome back, Santas and Santa Moms.
I thought the episode was over for a second. I was like, was that quickly?
Quick.
Good night, everybody.
Must have really been enraptured by Troy's roleplay.
Wow.
It just the time just flew by.
Yeah.
She looks down and she's very introspective. And again, she's a holographic version of herself. This is such an advanced technology. There's still emotions here for this digital consciousness. She's not a robot like Dax. An emotionless, stupid robot. Like
I'm
Dax.
trying to think of like how he's processing all this, and it's so difficult to wrap my head around, especially the part where it's like they could corrupt a digital mind. You know what I mean?
Right?
And so I wonder, like, does he fear that, or I don't know. I never wanted to play the android like he had no emotion. Certainly,
Right.
Just like a different kind of emotion or a different way of understanding things.
It's a childlike way, in a way.
But what is it? But what about fear? Yeah, I mean, he is
Childlike wonder. That's
what
not
is
meant
he,
to be
15,
derogatory.
14? He's like 15
Yeah.
years old. So it's like, what is there in terms of fear? You know what I mean? Like fear of losing your own mind. You know, does he have that fear? I don't know. Trying to wrap my head around it.
But we also know that he might be a replica of a human, right? From your backstory?
Yeah. But I mean, he's still a replica. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that he's all there.
No, I know, but it's so cool. I forgot about that with Dax. Anyway, yeah, continue, Santa Mom.
Santa Mom. Santa Mom looks up from her reverie and she says,
Millennia ago, my people were locked in a war with a race called the Civs. After decades of fighting, the Civs fashioned a device of cosmic destruction known as the Stellar Degenerator and sought to use it to bring the Kishali to extinction. We captured the weapon before it could be activated and won the war. We then studied our spoils. I was one of the scientists on that team, as was Eltrith. And our colleagues and we learned much from its dreaded power. We made a grave mistake, though, in firing said weapon. We only did it once, in self-defense, mind you. But the result was an atrocity we could barely live with. We created the Gate of the 12 Suns, the star system in which you find yourself to house and protect the weapon so that none might ever use it again.
The power of the weapon is staggering to contemplate or understand. But even more so to me now is the power to create a star system. The power to destroy it seems almost easier in a way. How is it that you created this place? And by this place, he means like these 12 connected suns, each with a single world that orbit them in a specific way. Like that power is completely beyond the understanding, I would think, of most Pact World's minds. How did they do it, Troy?
how did they do it?
Yeah. Explain the physics.
Explain the physics, dude, because it's really been bothering me for a couple months now. Couple
So
months,
much.
I think.
So much went into it you could never understand.
Have you read The Three-Body Problem, Joe?
Dude, no, but it's on my list. I have it. Yeah, I have it. I'm in line for it at the digital library.
Yeah, cool. Then I won't say anything more.
Okay.
I have.
You read it and liked it?
No, I won't.
You read it and disliked it?
I haven't read it at all.
Oh, okay.
I only know sort of the concept, and they talk about the physics of. Anyway, listen.
And I don't know anything about it, but I've heard really good things about it.
Each of the planets orbiting the suns hold small edifices deep within for monitoring the gravitational pulses that emanate from each planetoid's core. When my people were still alive, some of the scientists constructed personal laboratories in these facilities, but I have not had need for them, so they have remained dormant for millennia.
Cool.
My new friends.
But how did the suns get there? Were
Science.
they already there?
Lots of science.
Just really hard science. Were they already there and they repurposed them for this to utilize their gravitational forces? Or did they actually move suns, create suns? Or was it created artificially, but by someone even before the Kishali?
How can I explain this in a way that your stupid mind can understand?
I think these are legitimate questions.
No, they are. It's just your tiny mechanical brain could never fully understand the complexity of this, for we were much smarter and still are. But basically,
I don't think you know. I don't think you know either. I think you're bluffing.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Like to the hologram.
It sounds like he's bluffing.
I know.
Explain. Explain how you did it.
I will tell you. There was a guy.
Everyone.
I bet she was not the scientist back in the day. She was just an accountant or something.
She's just a Santa mom.
There was a guy. His name was Chair.
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Did you just say chair because you looked and saw a chair?
No, is that what that thing is called?
Or are you just naming things?
Maybe it was named after my old friend.
I think they chose
Wilson.
her to stay behind because she was the worst at what she did.
Anyhow, Chair came up with this idea. And here we are.
Chairson.
Chair Wilson.
Chair Wilson.
Chair Cherson could have never figured out this technology.
Was Chair Wilson also the one who developed the plastic materials that can last for millions of millennia?
No, you fool, that was his father.
What was his name?
Table Wilson.
Was it Tablellian the table?
Begat
What was his
Italian?
name? It was
Italians.
Window Wilson.
Window Wilson.
No. In truth, window covered in vines Wilson, they called him.
Window covered in vines, Wilson.
Dark computer monitor screen Wilson. No, in truth, all right, now that we've broken the ice, I will tell you the truth. But first you must understand how we got to this place. What I'm about to tell you and show you is the truth. But more importantly, in my time in confinement over the past few days, I have come to a difficult conclusion. The stellar generator can no longer just be contained. That is not safe enough. The stellar generator must be destroyed. It is something my people should have done long ago. For even if the cult of the Devourer were defeated. There is no guarantee the location of the Gate of the 12 Suns will stay hidden. For if you could find us, and they could find us, who's to say others won't follow in your footsteps? The Civ superweapon cannot be trusted with any people, no matter how peaceful and well-intentioned they might be. For we were peaceful and well-intentioned.
And she, grows somber for a moment. The entire room all of a sudden becomes filled with a holographic display of an unknown solar system, and she winks out. But you hear her voice continuing to talk, even though you can't see her.
Some were killed instantly, caught in the energy transference beam when the stellar degenerator turned their sun into a black dwarf.
And then all of a sudden the hologram shows a ray of light streaking in from outside of the system and hitting the sun. This tether pulses with energy, and you see starships get torn apart and moons nearby just get torn apart.
Those were the lucky ones. Within a week, temperatures across the system dropped to below freezing, and with no sun to sustain it, plant life began to die shortly thereover.
This sun at the center of the system shrinks and grows dark. Digital displays near each of the system's 10 planets show the decrease in temperatures and light levels, like little mini screens come up on all these planets floating around you, and you just see temperature, light.
Hundreds of millions eventually starved to death or were killed in skirmishes over food.
Another numerical display pops up all in front of you, where you see the rising death count.
The mass of the black dwarf wasn't enough to keep its planets in orbit, and eventually they started to drift outward, spinning erratically into the inky depths.
You just see the planets one by one fly off,
leaving behind only a dead sun.
In the hologram, the orbits of the system's frozen planets wobble, and then the farthest world disappears off the map.
A terrible way for people to go extinct.
The lights in the chamber return to normal. Oathsteth reappears on her dais.
So you can see now why the stellar degenerator must be destroyed. But
Why
to do
was it
so...
not?
What? No, please. You have something you want to say?
Yes. Why did you not destroy it? Originally, why contain it?
There was much discussion about what would be the best course of action. I do not know for sure, but I have always contemplated that even though we saw all this destruction, we feared another attack. And perhaps in keeping it, though they vowed up and down that they would never use it again, they knew its power, and it made our race ultimately feel indestructible. How wrong we were. You ask how we created the Gate of the 12 Suns, using the immense amount of energy siphoned off during the stellar degenerator. I'm sorry, I've been drinking. I'm so lonely now that Esteth is gone. Eltrith. His name is Eltrith. I don't even remember his name. So much gin for breakfast. I'm so alone. I said I would have oatmeal, but then there was that bottle of gin.
But then I had gin.
And I had gin instead. Then lunch rolled around.
It actually is legitimately hard to say stellar degenerator.
Stellar
over and over and over
It's
again.
a difficult weapon to say.
Anyhow, I'll take it back. After we fired the weapon, We used the immense amount of energy that was siphoned off during its one and only firing and created a pocket demiplane within which to store the superweapon. So great was this energy, we were also able to wrangle a dozen nearby stars to demarcate its location while also maintaining its stability. You are right to stare in wonder at this, for it is a feat of magic and engineering that took decades to build. And though there is a threat against us, it has held strong. Once it was completed, Kishali military and scientific staff were placed in bases on each of the controller moons orbiting the 12 suns to monitor the demiplane and prevent anyone else from opening it. Though these personnel were swapped out regularly, the Kishali government foresaw the eventual need for automation should their civilization ever fall. And by now, you can figure out the rest of the story. However, it must be destroyed, and to do so, we must open the gate.
Open up the gate.
How do we open the gate?
I am not entirely sure. Many calculations must be made. Eltrith and I, we had solutions for this, but it needed both of us, with him confined and soon to be eliminated. I must find another way. Right now I do not know, but releasing Eltrith is far too dangerous. I will destroy him. It is the only way. But in the meantime, the remainder of these devourer cultists must be stopped. There are some here, as I said, they must be working in that room to the northeast. But there are others that came before and left. They are seeking a control board, I believe, on one of the other moons. With the missing piece of equipment, they can activate the Gate of the 12 Suns and release the Stellar Degenerator so that it can be destroyed once and for all. If we get that board, sorry, drug.
Gin.
It's a gin for lunch and breakfast. Did I mention I had it for lunch? Listen,
I was going to have a salad. But then there was that bottle of gin sitting there.
Still half a bottle of gin staring me in the face. And I figured maybe it will expire if I do not finish it in one sitting.
Goes by lunch.
Bad. It wasn't until later that I realized gin doesn't expire for months. But I was already halfway into my second bottle.
But I was always.
Anyway, listen. There are other cultists.
Everybody shut up.
Shut up.
They came. I'm confusing a lot of topics. There's a lot going on. It's a lot of exposition. Shut up.
It really is.
I don't know how to do this, because with Eltrith gone, confined, soon to be destroyed, it is not as easy as it once was. However, the cultists that came here and left, I believe they have the knowledge to activate it on their own. But they needed a control board that is no longer functional here. It was most likely destroyed while they were accessing the building. So they left to go to another planetoid to retrieve a similar control board. With that, they can open the Gate of the 12 Suns. If we get it, and I figure out a way to do this without Eltrith, I can open the gate, and then we can destroy the Stellar Degenerator.
Callum asks Dax quietly, but also, wasn't this the only planetoid that, was viable? Didn't we scan all the other ones?
I believe the others did not have life forms currently. Perhaps we missed them in transition.
Yeah, maybe they have other computer systems set up, but like there's nobody on those planets, but they went to get some. He turns to the hologram. Is there other computers on other planets? Toids?
Now that Eltreth is contained, I have access to the gate's full sensor suite. One moment.
And her eyes just dart back and forth.
Yes, I can detect that some of them are still within the system.
Can
As
you, like,
I presume. No, please, go ahead.
Sorry, I think it's like the thing with the delay. So when you talk, I talk, and
I'm not looking at Skype.
I don't know what that is. I'm Callum. I'm talking in character. Technology. Can you block those other computers on the planetoids so that they can't access it, or could you set up firewall or a virus or make them explode like it did on us?
Let me see what I can do here. Ah, yes. Okay.
Also-
No, please interrupt me while I try to save the world.
No. You please go ahead. But I have a
No.
question.
No.
Oh, the weapon might be also already broken because we found something that we call the drift rock, but it's a part of the weapon.
Oh, so then I suppose it's all taken care of.
I know, like that's the thing.
Yeah, I guess we're done here.
Well, if one little
Just-
piece of the stellar generator broke off, I
Well,
guess
but
the world
it's-
is safe.
It's good news because then it can be broken. It's not indestructible.
Yes, this is
Right.
true.
I just bring positivity, Santa Mom.
She would also like a gift. She's too shy to ask, but she would like a gift.
Well, I will give you the gift of knowledge, for I have scanned the systems, and it seems that they are within the core facility of Gate 2's Controller Moon. It is an
thank you.
underground facility where my colleagues back in the day could adjust the gravitational pulses emanating from the... Shut up.
Back in the day.
Very
Yes.
colloquial phrase for this alien culture from
I have
millennia
learned
ago.
much.
It
on the
scanned
other
our
side of the
brains.
universe.
She
Yeah,
picked
it's
up all the
translating.
slang.
It's
I
translating.
am
I
in
would
consciousness.
This
Back in the day
translator
when we all drank
is
gin for
incredible.
breakfast together.
I wanted to speak with your vulgar colloquialisms so that you would feel comfortable around me for
Back
my intensely...
back in the day when my boys put the generator behind that John.
Yes.
That's what Dax is hearing.
Did you know there's a $sign in Osteth? Is that something you can relate to? Good. Anyhow, my homies back on planet 2, they were all smart and junk.
You really remind me of our good friend Harry T, and I think you guys would really get along.
Oh yeah. You should meet Harry T.
I have no space for friends now that the one that I had for centuries is my enemy.
No, but check out these sweet jams. Dax, playing the video you took.
Aye, Captain. It's a hologram of, I mean, just the most disgusting dunks this hologram has ever seen. Like, never seen ballin' like this on a half court. Like, it's just
Soul shattering.
You could add
Sorry.
one highlight reel.
Sorry, Phil.
My eternal life. I have never seen jams so sick.
Do you guys remember when we came into this room and Frisk wanted to translate, but we saved time. So they scanned our brains.
I'm glad we saved all this
You
time.
remember that? Time is of the essence.
The jams are so sick, they're either hope that the universe can be saved or another deadly weapon that could destroy all life.
By
All
this time,
this banter is making me forget the plot.
also, all this time has passed now. Have I regained all my stamina and
Yeah, did we
resolve
rest
points?
for a full
Were you
8
napping
hours?
while we were talking?
Dozed off.
She's asleep.
Oh,
She's sleeping
she's
in the
asleep.
corner.
She's asleep she's asleep in Santa's lap.
So check it out. They are on Gate 2's controller moon, where my homies used to work, monitoring and adjusting the gravitational pulses emanating from the planetoid's center when necessary. Since my inception as an artificial intelligence, physical presences have been unnecessary in those facilities, with the exception of standard maintenance bots, like your android, of course. You are basically a toilet cleaner with a gun, yes?
I am much more than that.
All right. Anyhow,
Seem to try to guard us when we rest.
Anyhow, her form like flickers for a moment.
it seems as if these marauders have briefly commandeered some of these robots to help them in their quest. I am completely locked out of these bots' programming. They have someone with them who is just as canny as whoever or whatever is working on the mainframe here. It's only a matter of time before our mutual enemies retrieve an intact control board and repair the controls to open the demiplane to the stellar generator. You must stop them. I can provide you with a map of the core facility if you'd like. Oh, yes. In addition to its standard function, yes, this may be helpful. The underground structure was occasionally used by scientists, my old crew, to examine the effect the megastructure's gravitational pulses had on living creatures, sometimes even experimenting on test subjects transported from this controller moon's various biomes. It appears, yes, this person who is good with computers has missed this, for they are unaware of these functions and did not lock me out of that. Hold. Look at this map.
And a three-dimensional map pops up on screen.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
That
cool.
is
Such a Protoss.
Yeah.
That is the core facility. And because they did not deactivate this programming, I can tell you I registered 9 organic life forms in the facility. Oh. This is interesting. There are also a few anomalous energy signals that I find confusing.
Incorporeal.
Do they match the energy signals of the other beings that entered this facility?
Sadly, I was confined and could not do such calculations.
Can I take a look?
Yes. At what?
At these signals, see if I can interpret them.
Oh, sure. Give it a whirl. If my brain can't figure it out, I'm sure your corporeal one can.
Well, we have more recent experience
No,
out there in
no,
the
you don't
universe.
have to
You've
explain
been
it
trapped
to
here in
me.
this room. Don't doubt your intellect, but just,
Yes, no, use your little rat hands and type on my computer and see if you can figure out what my infinite mind cannot.
All right, Marvin. So, could I? What sort of a check would be?
You've already
applicable?
accessed it, so now just roll another computer's check to get a sense.
29.
Yeah, it might be more shadow creatures, but there's some signals that are definitely not shadow creatures.
Okay. It's like nothing I've seen.
Similar, but it feels like you might be dealing with like either plane shifting situations or beyond life, either undead or otherwise.
You see,
like
some
things that are not
sort of
living.
Trans-dimensional or undead entity. I can't tell from this reading.
If we're able to access the stellar degenerator,
Yes.
how can we destroy it?
That is what I must think on. Securing the control board, getting it out of their hands, and returning it here is the first step. In that time, I will try and come up with a solution that does not need Eltreth. I know it to be possible. I do not know the solution right now. However, if they get to that control board and kill all of you, I'm assuming, and come here, they can no doubt lock me up again and find a way. They are quite good. If they were able to do what they did already, I fear their capabilities. But I have trust in my own as well, if we can get that board.
So I'm thinking back to Castrovel, Luskialua, the Monastery of Starsong, the connection to the ancient elves, and also the fact that even though it's spelled with a $sign, that Osteth referred to the process.
$Stein, TETH.
Little Uzi Osteth with $signs.
Little Uzi.
So I'm just wondering, he also referred to the process of digitizing his consciousness as a ritual. And I don't know if that is a translational idiomatic difference or if this is more of a technomancer style type of thing. What I'm worried about here is we are totally covered from a technological standpoint with Friss's expertise, but magically we kind of fall short in a lot of ways. Like it's not really one of our core competencies here. So I'm just thinking about how much that could be involved in this process.
Yeah, I mean, ritual could mean a lot of different things. I think you can probably feel pretty confident that between Kreska and Friss, the sort of woman of faith and the man of science, you can find a way, but that is a consideration to be mindful of. What if this magic is beyond them?
All right.
I would like to ask a perhaps simple question. I'm sorry, Captain.
I would assume all questions coming from you are simple. So, toss it at me, toilet cleaner.
One might as well converse with a toaster oven, but go ahead.
Yes, I would like it. My toast dark. Can you do that? Don't burn it, toaster.
Just imagining this drunk ancient hologram just being like, I want my toast dark.
I haven't eaten all day. I want a piece of dark toast.
I want
Man,
a cruncher.
Now I really believe that she is Santa.
Yeah.
I love that
Yes, now
smell.
yes.
Do you have a bagel setting on your toaster?
No, but seriously, it's just like,
Shoot.
what does it look like? The stellar degenerator.
It is as beautiful as it is terrifying. How do I explain it to a toaster?
It's really messed up.
It is.
Put that on me when the fact is you don't know what it looks like, and that's really weird and frustrating.
It
Troy.
is part spire, part unending darkness. It is both. light and dark, all combined into one. You look upon it in both awe and fear. It's a space dildo.
Oh, cool.
Now, we understand that there is a certain challenge to even understanding how to destroy it. But
Yes.
how does one wield it? Did your keys that you had with your friend Asta
Eltrith.
did your keys simply unlock the gate behind which the weapon sat, or did your keys activate the weapon? How does one activate the weapon? Not that I want to.
Dax is a traitor.
No, but if we are to stop them beyond simply destroying it, if there's another way to at least prevent them from activating it at the time. Basically, I'm just trying to wrap my head around, it's not like a gun. Can one person activate it? Do you need 25 people to activate it? Is it a...
To give you a sense of perspective, it is over 12 miles long.
So it needs to be crewed. Would that be reasonable to assume?
Yes. Okay. It's not to say that it couldn't be manned by one person of immense intelligence, but the point is, if you have it, you can use it.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure we'll find out when we do the next step.
It's like talent.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think that Dax would ask simply because this is the first person, right, that we've ever talked to who has seen it. You know what I mean? Has actually seen it.
I try to forget about it. It haunts my digital dreams.
Oh.
But I was not part of the team that fired the weapon. I only saw its aftermath.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Captain, I suggest we rest before we try to take out those that remain within the complex. We could take sufficient defensive measures, take them out, and then we go to this Gateway 2 planetoid, try to beat them to the control panel.
Can we rest? We'll take the spaceship there, right, to get to that other planetoid.
The other thing we can do...
Could take the bus.
No, but what I'm saying is that we can rest.
They have a monorail?
Sure, we'll take the spaceship.
I want to take the gondola. Can I take
Is there a monorail that connects the different planetoids? Surely they must have had some sort of system.
The gondola's got a better view. Let's take the gondola.
The gravitational pulses would destroy all of those modes of transportation.
Even the gondola?
It is a foolish suggestion.
My point was that we could then rest at the spaceship instead.
But we still have stuff to do
here.
Yeah, we still need to clear the room.
Okay, cool.
Yes, but the question is, Dr. Friss and Captain, do we have stuff to do here? It seems that this crew has been left behind because they were unable to unlock the gate. Perhaps we leave immediately, rest on the ship, and close on this other crew before they find the control panel. Yeah. That seems to be the way to unlock the gate.
That was going to be my question too. Is there any risk in just leaving these people to their devices here? Do you think that they still might be able to do some damage if we leave them to their own?
Yeah, they're like meddling, right? But they're just meddling. It seems like they're not.
If they reprogram Eldrith, they could potentially also destroy Ostith in the way.
And that's what they're working on, is reprogramming Eldrith.
Yeah, stopping them would certainly be a really big speed bump in the way. I'm afraid of opening this thing to get access to the Stellar Degenerator just because they can sneak in as soon as we open it. But at least we control when it opens if we stop them.
I will tell you this. part of their success thus far was corrupting Eltreth and containing me. But were I to move forward with my plan to end Eltreth, they cannot hurt me any further. Unleashing him is the main problem. So, if it is your plan to just leave, I support you in that plan. But I must end Eltreth first.
I mean, we could also go over there and, I mean, do you think we could handle them without resting?
Yeah,
How's everyone doing?
I have one resolve point left and half of my HP.
Oh, that would be permadeath. He's risking permadeath. Look, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Linnea and Qualo both are risking permadeath.
Yeah.
Right, let's just rest in here. We'll bar the doors, set up watches, and then take out the guys, and then go. I mean, we can't do anything unless we rest, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the ship is also like 300 meters away. It's not like 2 days journey in the jungle, right? Unless we got set up on
there's hostile
other
creatures out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's bar the
rest.
doors and rest here.
Will you
Osteth, can you
watch-
seal off this room so they can't get in?
Yes. Either way, I will need to end Eltreth to be safe, whether you stay here or leave. I will
Right
deal
now.
with the repercussions. The sooner the better.
We understand.
I feel bad, though.
If you want, we could leave you Dax, and he could be your permanent companion. Just joking, Dax. Just joking.
That is agreeable. Should be interesting. I remember my former life in its entirety. It was a good life. I had good parents. I had a brother and 2 sisters. But it was my friend, Eltreth, that meant the most to me. For in being stationed here, I had to leave my family behind, and he became the only family I would ever need. When we were faced with the decision to live on eternally, in a way, by sacrificing our bodies, we did it because of the love we bore each other. Not love in the romantic sense, but in the platonic sense. The kind of love you feel for someone you would give your life to protect. And together we gave our lives to protect our people. It is disheartening to know that he became corrupted. But such is life. And life eternal.
Dax
She
is,
kind of, yeah, good.
Dax is moved by this, especially the talk of love at all, particularly with his situation. And he's like, is this a matter of a time-sensitive nature? As in, if we eliminate the hostiles that remain within the facility, could we possibly save Eldrith? Or, in a matter of hours, will you have to make this decision to execute the one you love?
I fear, knowing now that this was not a simple matter of bad programming, that his relationship and devotion to this devourer has taken him beyond the point of return. There is something in this entity, be it real or not, that takes its believers into a mental state that cannot be returned from. I wish there was another way. But seeing now the dangers that have been presented by his corruption, this is the only way. And I will be forced to deal with the repercussions.
I am sorry for your loss.
Linnea is also moved by everything and says, "We are very honored that you would share your story with us, and we will make sure that you sacrifice your good friend not in vain, and we will revenge your people."
We will destroy the Stellar Degenerator.
We will find a way.
I lost a friend to the Devourer as well. A leader of mine. Served under him. He was corrupted as well. I felt no pleasure in ending him. But I know that his soul rests easier, now that the abomination that lived in his soul has been laid to rest. I wish you the same peace.
It seems as if you were meant to be here. What you are attempting to do could save this universe and other universes. There could be even greater sacrifices ahead. I hope you appreciate the sacrifices we made and know that a time may come when you too will have to make the ultimate sacrifice.
She turns and waves her hand, and another hologram pops up of Eltreth, and he's in digital chains, and he's just gnashing his teeth and writhing. You don't hear any sound, but you just see him looking at her with hate and anger and fear in his eyes. It's and she just looks at him and says,
I loved you dearly, old friend. I thought we would be together forever. I was wrong. Goodbye, my friend.
And she just starts typing at imaginary things all around her. You just see him writhe out in pain, but no sound is coming out, and just chunks of the hologram start. And you all level up. What? And we'll see you next week.
Sad moment to celebrate. Sad moment to celebrate.
Oh, Santa, no.
So sorry, Santa Mom.
Santa Mom!
Santa, no!
Oh, what a night! What a night.
What a night. Holy shit.
Oh, what a night!